Hey, this is Mike with 4,000 Weeks, and you're watching People of Passion. Hey, what's up? It's Mike with 4,000 Weeks, and today I have the privilege in my studio to interview Miss Stephanie Hunter and Wyatt Smith. Stephanie Hunter is an independent musician from the Metro Detroit area. Wyatt is her bass player, and we're going to be here getting to know them in mic'd up studio, and then we're going to capture a couple of their songs acoustic here live in the studio, which you'll be able to check out on all the social media platforms. So please like, subscribe, share. I know everyone says it, but it really does help us content creators out. And last but not least, Miss Stephanie Hunter.
Hi.
And Wyatt Smith.
And we got Wyatt Smith too. He is here
too.
He is. So I want to start off the interview just with some basic questions. Each of you, could you please introduce yourself as well as what instruments that you play, and just a little bit about your music and how you like to write or where your music inspirations come from.
Sure.
Yeah, so Stephanie. I play guitar and I do vocals. I play acoustic guitar as well as lead and rhythm guitar. And yeah, we've been writing a lot of music lately. A lot of times we're writing a lot of full songs and then throwing bass on them and harmonies and just kind of making full finished products from it.
Okay, so you both play and sing together then?
Yeah. So we do lots of harmonizing and stuff like that.
Okay, now is bass the only instrument that you play, or are you a little bit versed?
I'm pretty versatile. I play bass, I play guitar, sing. I'm starting drums a little bit, but guitar and bass mostly, but also any weird variation of guitar or bass I can get my hand on. I've got all sorts of weird stuff. 6-string basses, fretless basses.
Oh, those are awesome.
All sorts of cool stuff.
You have to have a good ear for a fretless bass. There's no frets on it.
For sure, yeah.
You need to play those wrong. I'll have to show you. I have what they call a ganjitar. So it's a 6-string guitar that is also a banjo.
Interesting.
Together. So it's tuned like a guitar, but sounds like a banjo. It's electric.
Cool.
It's fun to plug in.
Yeah. Love weird stringed instruments.
Yeah, all the stringed instruments are what speaks to me the most. And it seems like both of you as well. But, I do also often consider the bass a percussion instrument. So it's cool that you're starting to dabble in the drums. I mean, people don't realize it. Yeah. I've had to show certain people here in the studio, like, hey, this is what the song sounds like when you turn the bass off.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, what?
It makes a difference.
Oh, it's not only gluing the whole song together, but it's kind of what you're feeling when you're moving,
Yeah, for sure. So I've been focusing on bass a lot because I'd say it's my favorite. Okay. I like that it strikes the middle between kind of percussion and melody. So
perfect.
So it's
exactly. Fun. Yeah. So when did each of you get started playing your instruments?
I started playing guitar a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I started keyboard when I was little. I was like probably 3 or 4 when I started, just dabbling on my sister's keyboard at home. But yeah, I just bought my first guitar, I think 3 years ago now. And my first acoustic maybe a year or 2.
Yeah. Nice. Once you realize that all the notes are in alphabetical order, it's actually quite easy to kind of transpose them from one to another. I'll write a song on the piano and then be like, this should be on the guitar, but it's just pull it open and I'll be playing the piano and someone will see me go, and it's like I'm trying to in my head look at what the chords are on the guitar and then put them on the piano. So, but I've watched some of your stuff online and you play very, very great, especially for 2-3 years into it. I would have expected much longer than that.
Thank you.
Wow. What about yourself, Wyatt? When did you get your start?
I started probably right before I turned 14. So
how old are you?
About to be 25 next
okay.
month.
So a decade.
So 10 years,
decade under the influence, baby.
Yep. And just kind of learned guitar and bass at the same time. I kind of always liked doing them both. I just liked learning the music I was starting to get into, so that was inspiration enough. Never really did lessons or anything. I just would try and sound like what I was listening to till I did, and that was kind of a fun way to learn.
Yeah, just playing by ear is great. I mean, Eddie Van Halen, the guy who never learned how to read music or nothing. He's one of the greatest musicians of all time.
Yeah,
he used to win piano competitions, and his instructors would pull him over to the side and be like, you didn't play that exactly how it's written, you know, because he was just listening to the other
Right.
students play
Right.
it, and he didn't have the exact sheet music in front of
Yeah.
him. But that's what creates individuality to me. I mean,
Yeah.
there is a structure, you know, 1, 3, 4, or this or that, or you follow these chord progressions. But that often to me makes music sound real boxy,
For
and
sure.
robotic.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's those weird notes that you hear in like 9 Inch Nails songs or something. And it's like, I think he went to the wrong note, but I really liked it.
It sounds
Yeah.
wrong, but it feels right.
If you had this formal training, you almost would never let yourself go to that wrong note.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
You'd be like,
yeah.
that's not proper.
Right.
So I'm myself the same way.
Yeah.
I could play probably 15 instruments, and I've never been formally trained, but
No.
that's what makes it fun too, is because it's like, well, now it's your own adventure into that piece of equipment. How do you play it? Not how is it played, but how do
Right.
you play it yourself?
Yeah, it's cool just to kind of discover stuff that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you had mentioned, you know, playing bass and guitar at the same time. Stephanie, you had mentioned grabbing your sister's keyboard. Is there like influences in your life that like kind of led you into playing music? Like for me, for instance, there was always a guitar underneath my dad's bed. My Aunt Marianne was a guitar player, so at like 6 years old, I was like, I want to play the guitar. You know, she tried to give me lessons. My hands weren't even strong enough to push the
Yeah.
strings down yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, it was definitely like my dad who kind of like was a big he doesn't play instruments, but he was big into listening, and it kind
Yeah.
of made me want to play. But for you two, what kind of like led you in the direction of wanting to pick those instruments up?
So like I said, when I was little, I would just go play my sister's keyboard. I was like 3 or 4, and I'd be playing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star just from hearing it from the keyboard. And then what got me into guitar, honestly, Guitar Hero 3.
Yeah.
So like that is the absolute truth. I love playing Guitar Hero growing up. It got me into that kind of music, and then actually, when I bought my first guitar, I was on my way to work, and I was listening to Cliffs of Dover, which was on Guitar Hero. I don't know if it was 3.
Uh-huh.
Might have
think
been.
so.
I think it was. That was the best one. And I was listening to it, and I was like, I'm buying a guitar today. And I did. I went and bought my first electric, just because Cliffs of Dover not from Guitar Hero, that was
Yeah.
on Guitar Hero.
Yeah, well, I mean, I played a lot of songs where younger people than me are like, oh, that's a Guitar Hero song. It's like, no, it's actually a top Billboard hit from the 70s, but it was on Guitar Hero,
Yeah.
you're right. But, you know, that's great that game, I mean, there's a lot of arguments, like, well, why wouldn't you just pick up a real instrument? It's like,
Right.
yeah, but the influence of it leading to that. Like, I mean, it led to games like Rocksmith, and then all of a sudden there's Rock Band. Like, Rocksmith, you could plug a real electric guitar into your
That
PlayStation
was
3 or
huge.
4
What?
and play it, and it would
Is that
teach you how to
still a
play.
thing?
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Next band. Oh,
It's
are you
literally-
kidding me?
Let's hook it up.
Next band
Yeah.
practice. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
so it's like, and then, you know, now you got one from Guitar Hero to Rock Band. So now you have little kids playing a fake drum
Yeah.
set. Now you got little kids playing a fake bass, and then they go out and buy one.
And like
they
you said,
play.
getting into music that they never would have known.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, honestly. I was really into Guitar Hero and Rock Band. It must be a generational thing, kind of. I mean, that started getting me into music, and I was getting really good at it, too.
Oh, yeah. You're like, what's the
So
next
I was
level?
like, I
It's
guess
like,
the next step is I try and play the real
yeah, it's
thing.
like I beat the game. What do I do now? I'm just like,
Yeah.
get a real one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's very similar. I mean, it's similar structure. You're moving your fingers in a similar
Yeah.
way. You have to time out. It's a
timing.
hand-eye coordination
Yeah,
between
yeah.
the two.
And yeah, so there's differences, but I always say this, like my uncle was a big inspiration for me. He always played acoustic guitar and stuff like that, and we played like Guitar Hero Metallica or something this one time, and it was a lot of fun. And then we went back home or whatever, and I heard him playing Nothing Else Matters in the back room, and I was like, I think that's when it occurred to me, oh, you can just learn these songs for real. And he like showed me how to play it as he was learning it, and I was like, oh, I can kind of do this. It's all open strings, but that was big for me. So
Nothing Else Matters was your first guitar song?
Yeah, I think technically
The
yeah.
intro.
Interesting, yeah.
Just the because it was easy enough. Yeah.
Yeah, it's either that or Smoke on the Water. you
Right,
know?
yeah.
But yeah, no, that's huge. And then, you know, for you to take that and like you connected the dots, like you said, like, oh, I'm able to learn these. Like some people think that like instrumentation or being a musician is like this, like you're born with it. Like somebody grabbed you by your heels and dipped you in the river of music. But it's like anybody can learn. Like and again, I'll say this for the channel, like reach out to me, message me. I can point you in the right direction. I can link you up with cheap equipment. You know, that could also be a segue real quick to where I do have a sponsor for this channel. It's called Rock City Guitars in Livonia. The owner, Nick, is an awesome guy. They give lessons up there. It's an independently owned shop. You'll see a promo code in the links. to help you get into instruments cheaper. And I'm always there to give anybody advice because it isn't something that you have to be born with. It's just something that you want to do. It's the same as anything. If you want to learn how to play hockey, guess what? You gotta lace up skates and play hockey all the time. If you want to learn how to cook, you're probably going to cut your finger a bunch of times with a knife, but you're eventually going to cook something great. So don't be intimidated by it. Get yourself an instrument. I hear it over and over and over again. I talk to thousands of people through my career, and they're like, man, you're into music. I wish I could play. It's like, you can. And right now, there's more resources than ever to help us learn these things. Instruments have become very economical. You have free lessons on YouTube. So
Marty Music.
yeah, a lot. Any of these resources can just help somebody. And like you said, oh, I can play that.
Right.
Like, yeah, you can. Anybody can do it. You might not be as quick as the next guy at learning it, but just as long as you just put in the practice, you'll get there. So I really respect that. By hearing it that way, it's like, oh, I realized I could do that.
Yeah,
or you could do that. It's just like, it clicks. It's like, there's a lot of people, they just think that like, oh, well, I don't got it. I can't do that.
Right.
It's like, so I like hearing that because I like adversity and I like just pushing through hurdles.
Yeah.
And that's what music is very about, is just hitting those plateaus, but keeping on going and keeping on pushing. And then, you know, it's that bad day that you thought was just going to ruin everything, but turn into a great song, you know, and where then now you're like almost appreciated that traffic jam you were in or whatever. So that's awesome. So for each of you, like, you know, growing up, we know that there's some family members maybe that influenced you or having instruments around, and we got Guitar Hero that had probably a lot of good tunes. But like, what do you remember as kids growing up listening to, you know, before Guitar Hero? Like, I know everybody has music, you know, like it's probably something your parents listened to or something like that. But I guess what would you say is like the original earworms that kind of like made you fall in love with music, you know?
That's a good one.
That is a really good question. I listened to a lot of the Beatles, the Who. That's the first two that came to my mind. I don't.
Yeah. For me, it's just kind of like whatever was on the radio for a long time. Like my dad and my mom, like they had all sorts of music that they were listening to that I ended up like getting into, but they never like really like, you know, shoved it down my throat or anything.
Yeah.
Like they just kind of let me find it, and they'd be like, "Oh, you should check this out" or whatever. But like I remember hearing like System of a Down on the radio, and you know, and like Bodies by Drowning Pool was
that's a good one too.
Was a huge one because it was. I mean, it was a few years old by the time I was a kid, but it was still in rotation. Radio, it still is today.
Probably on the it was probably on the tail end of its like peak, right, as you were listening to when you were a kid.
So I remember stuff like that and liking it even way back before I became like into rock or metal and stuff. But, so it's cool to end up there now.
Yeah. So now, like around now, I mean, 'cause like for instance, your influences can change. When I was younger, I listened to Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, which I still do sometimes. They're great songs, but you know, now I'm more into like Manchester Orchestra or like independent artists or Avenged Sevenfold on the heavier end and stuff. So like, where did that kind of transform you into now? Like, what are you finding yourselves listening to more now as you're driving around or at work, or what you got in your headphones?
Yeah.
That's such a good question. I am so all over the place, honestly. Last few days, it's been a lot of Deftones and System of a Down.
Nice.
Super Heaven, super into Super Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to country. I like old country. Linda Ronstadt. I like Leanne Rimes.
Leanne Rimes is classic.
So
I was
good.
jamming How Do I Live the other day. I was like, I forgot about this song.
Yeah, I'm all over the place, honestly.
Yeah, you truly are kind of one of those people that's like, I listen to everything.
It really means it.
Yeah, I mean, and I say that to people, and they're like, "Boy," I'm like, okay, I listen to more hard rock and indie music. But look at my YouTube history, and it's just like, okay, you just went from Backstreet Boys to Avenged Sevenfold to Manchester Orchestra to Ozzy to you know, Melissa Etheridge, and it's just like,
you know, I want to give a shout out to A Day to Remember.
Oh yeah,
that's probably one of the biggest like influences on.
Yeah, you know, I never listened to them a lot, and then I saw them live, and I was like, what?
I've never seen them alive. I'm the opposite.
It was just at a random show, and I was just kind of like, well, do we even need to go in? A Day to Remember, and then so and so, and then so and so, and someone was like, are you kidding me? I'm not missing A Day to Remember. And I saw them live, and I was like, oh, I get it.
So good.
Rise Against was the same way for me. I never liked them, and I just kind of I don't know why. And I saw them live, and was like, oh, okay, I got to go home and download every single playlist.
Right.
So, Day to Remember is really great. That whole scene you know, that was kind of the tail end of like the last time rock was really great. You know, it was like it started with like, you know, Taking Back Sunday, Paramore, and Fall Out Boy, and The Used, and then like that kind of rolled right into like A Day to Remember and As I Lay Dying and like those bands, and then it's just like, what happened?
Right.
Where'd they all go?
Yeah.
So it's a day to remember. You know
yeah.
Right.
They knew what they were talking about when they did the band.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you find in your headphones these days?
So we always make fun of me.
We always make fun of you.
We do.
You participate yourself.
I participate in it. Gotta stay humble. But whereas Stephanie kind of listens to a little bit of everything, we always say that I know like 7 bands.
No, we say 5.
I was trying to be a little generous to my.
So, you said System of a Down. Right?
System of a Down. I know like 7 bands, but I know them really well.
Yes.
I know every song. No, I know more than that, but I would say like my big 3 pretty much consistently are like Deftones, Chevelle is one of my favorites. Tool is big for me.
Yeah.
Love System of a Down. All sorts of stuff like a lot of 2000s, 90s like new metal, alternative metal and rock and stuff. That's definitely like kind of my wheelhouse. So
yeah, I love the 90s alternative, and then that scene like you were talking about where it was like Deftones, Chevelle, Stained, Godsmack, Shinedown kind of popped up right then.
All those
and it's just like it's got a place in my heart. And that's what came out when I was in high school. So it's like middle school and high school we went from like Blink-182 and Sum 41 at Warped Tour, but then those bands were a little bit immature by the time you got to 9th grade.
Right.
You were kind of like into harder rock. Like, you know, you're an adult now, so you know, Chevelle.
Right. And also grunge is a huge one for me. Love, you know, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains.
We were talking in the last interview, is like there's probably people who don't even realize they're influenced by Alice in Chains that are I mean, 100%. Hands down one of the greatest bands of all time. Like Lane Staley's death's one of the worst things to happen in rock and roll, because like that guy, him and Jerry Cantrell's writing together and their harmonies, like me and my brother play in a band, and so we sing a lot of harmonies, and it's like it's crazy because if you listen to any music, there's harmonies all throughout it, you know. But we'll harmonize with people like, you guys do harmonies just like Alice in Chains, and it's like they're synonymous with doing harmonies. But like everybody does harmonies, but like they did it so well and in such an eerie, like they were so tuned together and like knew the way to do it that like it's their thing, even though there's probably not a single song that you listen to that doesn't have some kind of harmony in the vocals. It's insane. Like that stuff, I mean, that's like in my ear at the gym, in my ear in the sauna. They have some of the heaviest songs you'll listen to, some of the softest, like melodic, like eerie songs you'll listen to. So Alice in Chains I think is a big one for everybody. They're just super special. One day maybe this channel will get huge and I'll be able to like talk to Jerry.
That'd be cool.
That'd
be cool.
That's the idea.
Yeah, who knows? I just saw an interview with him and Rick Badio on YouTube. It was amazing. It was a good. He taught me a lot about like layering guitars, stuff. He's like, you know, we'll take this guitar and do a left and right, and then we'll take this guitar and do it down the center, and then we'll take this guitar and do another left and right with it, and then we'll use this guitar with this amp. And I'm like, wait, you put 4 guitars on one recording? It's like, you can't do that live, but that's why live music sounds different from the studio stuff. And it's like, okay. So it's like, I'm writing a song now where I like already have 3 guitars layered on. It's like an electric acoustic, a regular acoustic, and a Fender Strat. And I'm like, what other one should I put on? It's like, the guy knows what he's doing for sure.
And on the topic of Alice in Chains, I feel like you always bring me a guitar part and you're like, hey, I like this a lot, but is this already an Alice in Chains?
I do all the time.
And I know them well enough to be like,
almost.
But you're good on technicality.
There's a famous saying that we're all sharing riffs. I think it was Jimmy Page or something. We're all sharing riffs.
I guess I am pretty Alice in Chains.
You're a little Alice in Chains.
Yeah, because I do
people don't even realize they're inspired by it.
It just seeps in.
Yeah, it is. It's just,
It's so true.
Yeah, and I've heard people say, I don't know who Alice in Chains is. It's like, yeah, you do. And I start playing the songs like, I know that one. Click on that song. I know that one. Click on that song. I know that one. So
we just played We played Man in the Box at a event recently.
Yeah.
And a lady, maybe inebriated, came up to us and told us that she didn't know any of the songs. We only did 3 or 4 songs that night. It was like a 20-minute set thing. She came up and told us she didn't know any of the songs we did and nobody knows them. And I was like, we did Man in the Box by Alice in Chains.
Nobody knows Man in the Box.
Nobody knows that song.
Yeah. That's funny.
That was so funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I feel bad for her. Maybe
I
not
know.
everyone's
Yeah.
influenced, but maybe talking about it, maybe she went home and was like, "What are you doing?"
Maybe
Yeah,
we were
right.
the gateway for her.
Maybe.
We might have opened up her
you're
life.
the gateway
to-
drug of Alice in Chains. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a big part of music in general. Is just like being an inspiration to people, or like putting something in their ear that they haven't heard before. There's a couple bands you mentioned. I'll have to ask you after the show. Like, and so I like, oh, cool, those bands. Let me write them down.
Yeah.
I'll listen to them, and then I'm the guy that like finds a weird band and sends it to like 18 people. I get like 3 responses, but I'm like, well, those 3 people now know about Manchester Orchestra, or like Blair was mentioning earlier, Electric Callboy.
Yeah.
They're like death metal techno. Never knew it existed. It'll blow your mind.
But it
You
works.
put it on at the gym and you're just like,
Your muscles get bigger.
Yeah.
Instantly. Yeah.
So it sounds like you've been active playing shows.
Yeah.
I heard you did some recordings, or you're starting to do a recording in the studio. So let's let that segue us into like, what are some of your like most memorable moments as musicians? It could be on your own or as a pair playing music together. Doesn't have to be playing in front of 10,000 people. It could be the smallest little thing out there. But what are some of the most memorable moments that kind of stick in your mind about where you've been so far?
I'll give one really good and one slightly less good. One really good. We played with our band. We're also in a band together. We have a lead singer. Her name is Sky. So our band's called Blue Sky Ryler. Blue Sky. And we were playing a show, and we drove all the way up north. Was it 6-7 hours? It was a drive.
It was long.
On this island up north. We stayed the weekend up there. It was super awesome.
Yeah.
The morning of the show, she woke up, no voice. She's our lead singer. So
4-hour gig.
4-hour gig. So me and Wyatt, we can't cancel it. Like, we're like 7 hours from home. We're staying there for the weekend.
Yeah.
So we just sang songs we didn't know the lyrics to, that our band already did, because you kind of have to make it work. And we did songs that like we do solo, but the band doesn't, like maybe our drummer doesn't really know.
So he's winging
it.
Yeah.
We're winging lyrics. I made up every lyric to a Nickelback song. I seriously don't think I got a single word right. But like, it was so fun, and the crowd still loved us. And it was a blast. We did Down in a Hole by Alice in Chains that day, like on improv. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So it was like one of those moments where it was like, all right, this is a test of our improv abilities, and we made it. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a really cool one.
It was a nice adaptability test.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it takes. I mean, that's why, like, if you're practicing and someone drops a stick or a pick or they mess up, you gotta kind of just keep rolling through it, because you know, you never know when you're 7 hours away and you gotta play a show, or you know, when I was playing a show like 3 months ago, and my distortion pedal just broke. You know, and I was like,
that happened to me.
As I was playing, I'm like hitting it with my foot. It's like, but when you get through that, it's such a good feeling. It kind of says you're on the right track. Like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm a musician.
I can handle this.
Yeah, I can handle this. It's not gonna let me down. And so and if the crowd still had a good time, that's awesome.
Yeah. People still loved us. It was good.
It was cool.
Do you want to tell a bad story?
Memory? A bad story?
Yeah, so then, you know, what's on top of a good, since you guys shared that memory as a nice memorable moment, what are some least memorable moments? Because we all have them. Like I just said, I had a pedal board break on stage. I've broken strings on stage. We've had, like, you know, business cards printed wrong and didn't open the box until we got there, and had to handwrite the word music on a silver Sharpie, you know, on the end of every business card. So, you know, what are some of your least favorite moments of your musical careers?
Yeah. Well, I might not be the best person to ask this, because I'm fairly optimistic, but I can remember, you know, little stuff like I've had my strap come off on one end, and then as I'm trying to fix it, it comes off the other end, and now I'm just holding both and don't know what to do. You know, sound stuff happens and whatever, but the story that I know you're thinking of is we were going to do an acoustic duo this one time, and we got food before, you know, just to try and relax. We were kind of running on a tight schedule, and you know, it was going fine. We were having a good conversation, having a good time, and then all of a sudden Stephanie was like, I gotta go. I just have to go. And I was like, Okay.
This is at the show?
This is right before the show.
Across the street at a Mexican restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, across a couple of streets at a Mexican
Yeah.
restaurant, and so she left me, and
I had to go set up. I was like stressed for time. I was like, listen, we have X amount of time to set up. Our bill isn't here yet. I'm like, Wyatt, here's my credit card. I gotta go set up. He's like, okay. So I kind of abandoned him.
Yeah. But if that was, I did get there eventually, yeah.
Well, so we like across the street. Look, there's cars like flying by. So I'm like, you'll be fine. Just pass when they stop.
Right. But if that was our worst moment, that's
that's
pretty
okay.
good.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
We were
not too
set up,
bad.
sound checked, and had time to get a beer before the show.
Right.
Awesome.
And that's all that matters.
Yep.
So how often are you playing bands as like a duo acoustically versus like with the band? Is this the more active side of your gigging versus the band, or is it kind of 50-50?
The band plays constantly.
Yeah.
In the summer, we're gigging like twice a week, twice a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Acoustic stuff is a lot of when the band's not playing. If there's an odd Friday or, weekday acoustic that we're not playing and we have the day off from normal work.
Yeah, so what do each of you do outside of music? Normal people
Normal
work.
work.
Right.
Yeah. I work at an elementary school. I'm a child care director.
Okay.
And I waitress on the side too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Both character building jobs.
Yeah. I work in a deli.
Okay.
I cook chicken
Nice.
and sliced meat.
I love chicken.
And I've heard I'm very good at making the chicken. So
Gotta have that just perfect crispiness, burntness to it, but not to too burnt, loses its juiciness.
Apparently,
there's a good way to cook chicken.
And apparently I've got it down, so I can't complain.
Well, maybe, I'll have you back out in the summer and we'll
Absolutely.
barbecue and she can abandon you and go set up all the
Yep.
equipment and you can go in the backyard and cook us all some chicken.
I think that's the
100%.
dynamic.
Yeah.
It'll work out. So have you had any experience in a recording studio? Have you had any of your tracks recorded? If so, where can we find them? Where can we find your music in general? Let's let the audience know. Any websites you have. I know that I found you on Facebook. The way that I found Stephanie, I believe you were going to play you were playing at the Congregation, or it was a local venue, and something fell through. But I was looking for local artists, and then we were about to go to the show, so I looked you up. I followed you. I was like, oh, she's pretty good, and then I think it was the dog wasn't feeling good, or just something popped up. We didn't end up going out that night, and then I kept following you from there since I'd already added you. So she's very active on Facebook. I could say it's just Stephanie Hunter on Facebook, right?
Yeah, I have a music page called Stephanie Hunter Music, and then I post a lot of stuff on my personal, I guess, page too. Mm-hmm. But so either of those, Stephanie Hunter Music is probably easier to find.
Yeah, and then TikTok is also Stephanie Hunter Music.
Yeah, TikTok's Stephanie Hunter Music, Instagram. I'm really new to the social media scene. I'm better at Facebook than the other ones, but I'm getting there. I'm working on it.
Yeah, I have to use a posting app just to manage my brain because I was like, wait a minute, I have to post this on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And Twitter, it's no. I type it up once and then click post all of them.
Yes.
Which, unfortunately for us musicians, and there is some fun to it, but we're kind of pushed into a corner that we have to become content creators.
Yeah.
And so, just about people. The segment is called People of Passion. I kind of started this up because I like to go see local music. It's often hard to find friends that want to get out of the house, especially on weekdays, stuff like that. So my thought was, well, I have a beautiful studio down here. I spent a lot of work putting it together. So I'm going to bring people into my studio that are local to the Metro Detroit area. Hopefully one day it's just going to bloom out. And hey, if somebody wanted to fly in from Colorado or California, I wouldn't stop you, but we're not getting a ton of views yet. But it was kind of my idea of a way to say, you know what? We're all struggling as musicians to kind of get our content out there. So I'm going to bring people down here. We're going to talk like this. We're going to get to know the musician. Because I like people. I like to get to know people. I don't just want to just try to figure out who they are by listening to a song. I drift through YouTube and I watch all these interviews, and Rick Bedio or Bedio is a really good one that I watch.
Yeah.
Rock Feed, I love watching his stuff, and I'm like, you know what? There's nothing local music focused. So this is kind of like that local music channel. You're going to see, we're going to capture 2, maybe 3 songs acoustic down here. We're going to mix it, make it sound really good, probably attach it to some kind of music video. And then just that way, follow the page. this is, going to be one of many, many, many interviews. I probably have like 5 or 6 bands already lined up to come down here from, and anything. I don't care if it's acoustic music. We did post-hardcore last week. I have my buddy Rob is in the Creeping Chaos. He's more of like, I'd say like metal, like kind of like, Rob Zombie disco style, like metal, like with an upbeat. And then I have like other metal bands. I have hard rock bands. Maybe after like 10 or 12 interviews, we'll kind of spin the camera and bring the host in here to interview me and my band as well and capture some
That'd
stuff.
be cool.
That would be cool.
So definitely please like and share the page. It helps not just me as a local musician out, but like local musicians like Stephanie and Wyatt and even the members in their band who are not here today. So if you're this far into the interview, we appreciate you giving it a listen and a look. And there's just a few more questions I wanted to wrap up. Do you have anything in the works that people should look out for? That could be anything from new songs you're recording, big shows coming up, just any plans, even just in your personal life that might trickle into the music world.
Yeah, we're recording right now. One of the songs we'll be doing tonight. We just started recording a couple weeks ago, and we're already getting pretty close to the mixing process.
Yeah. So is that as you as a duo, or is that with Blue Sky as the band?
I'd say duo. Actually, we played it with the Blue Sky Band. It's a song that I brought fully finished to the band, and he threw a really cool bass line on. And
is it bass?
That's what I do. Yeah, we play it with the band, but it's one that I took and I said I'm gonna make this, one of mine and publish it. But when I went in studio, I was like, wow, this really needs that bass line that Wyatt put on it. So yeah, Wyatt.
I was close.
Yeah, he's like 5 minutes from the studio.
Oh, that worked out.
Yeah, so I was like, hey, come record this bass line.
Yeah.
Hang out. So yeah, did that.
So it's just that one song for now being done in the studio. And then do you have any music like already on Spotify or iTunes or anything like that?
It's going to be my first single.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we've been working on a lot. Honestly, we have so many projects going on. A lot of originals we're working on. We have originals we're working on with the band right now. I think it's easier to get just me and then you or whoever into the studio for kind of our duet stuff. So I think a lot of those should be coming out pretty soon. And we've been really getting into it lately, so I think we're going to be coming out with a lot of stuff pretty quick. Yeah,
we got some cool stuff in the works.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I will post all her pages and the main interview description on the YouTube link. Social media gets a little bit harder because they won't even let you click the links. But she'll be tagged, Wyatt as well, so you can follow them on their journey with music. And then, I actually probably on some of these, especially like these acoustic captures, I will more than likely be releasing them on like iTunes and Spotify and stuff, and we'll call it like 4,000 Weeks production and then the band name and everything. So I'll always also include that to where not only will you be able to hear what we capture here today with them, but kind of just everybody who comes down here, pending how we could dial in the sound, because we don't want to put bad content out there either. But with just 2 acoustics and some singing, we should really be able to hone in and get some awesome footage down here today. So looking forward to showing you all that. Is there anything that you guys want to tell the audience before we kind of wrap the interview up?
I think that's it. Make sure you check out our band too, Blue Sky Riley. We have a really badass
Blue Sky Riley?
Yeah, that's her Facebook page, Blue Sky Riley. So yeah, make sure you check out her page because you'll see a lot of us there too.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and then so follow 4,000 Weeks. It's an adventure for tons of local music. I'm also writing an album called 4,000 Weeks Talking to Myself, piece by piece on the Instagram page, so you'll be able to see me develop each song. I'll be doing song features, talking about what the song came from, what it means to me, things like that. There'll probably be special guest appearances, live performances, and then we're going to break this interview down into a bunch of clips, make it really easy for people to kind of see it piece by piece. If you have any suggestions or if you have any comments or any questions for the band, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. I hope I'm pointing below at the comments section in YouTube. I probably am. It's down from here. And we look forward to coordinating and potentially doing this again. So we're going to get to making some music. And I hope everybody out there has a great and amazing day, night, wherever you're at. And, just stay safe and get that music flowing in your ears. It's magic. So this is 4,000 Weeks People of Passion. I'm going to spend my 4,000 weeks playing, recording, and talking about music. How are you going to live yours?